Everyone, today we will study a theme of biology called interactions. Okay. So I have earlier told you that in any biological system, interactions will be there. At any level of biological hierarchy. So at any level of biological hierarchy, you can start from cell, right? And you can go up to ecosystem or entire biosphere. Interactions will be there among the constituents of the biological system. Okay. So we will see it from a small point of view also and a big point of view also. Okay. So first we will study the interactions within a single organism, that is at the molecular level. We will study it at the molecular level, or we can say interaction between molecules at the organism level. So we are taking organism as the biological system, and within the organism we will see interactions between different molecules. So for example, the regulation of blood sugar level, that involves interactions between different molecules. When you eat food, your blood glucose levels goes up, and then there is a signal for the release of insulin hormone, and all this happens by feedback mechanism. There is feedback regulation which is of two types, negative and positive. Mostly this is negative. We will also study some examples of positive feedback. If I say negative feedback regulation, here we can study an example of blood glucose level management. See, for glucose homeostasis, suppose someone ate food and blood glucose level is high. So a signal goes to the pancreas and the beta cells will release insulin. And then that insulin will go to different cells in tissues, in liver, and will bind to its receptor there, and it will stimulate the uptake of glucose from blood to the tissues and to the liver cells, and blood glucose level will decrease. So this signal, now there is no positive signal for the pancreas to release insulin because blood glucose level has decreased. So there is proper interaction between different things, right? Beta cells release insulin when they have to release, right? So that was controlled by blood glucose level. So if I say the molecule glucose, that controls the molecule insulin, the release of the molecule insulin. Okay, now if I say you have not eaten any food and your blood glucose level is low, right? Then what happens? Then again pancreas are stimulated by different cells, alpha cells, and they will release glucagon hormone. And what it will do? It will go to the liver and it will say that when glucose was more, that time glucose was converted into glycogen and it was stored as glycogen. Now the liver cells need to break down this glycogen to release the stored glucose, and blood glucose level will increase. Now there will be no signal for pancreatic alpha cells to release glucagon. So this is simply glucose homeostasis, and it is working on negative feedback mechanism. In both cases, if blood glucose level is very low, then pancreas will release glucagon, and if blood glucose level is very high, then pancreas will release insulin. Now if you can say, now okay, blood glucose level was high, insulin release, blood glucose level becomes normal. It does not become too low that pancreas will now secrete glucagon. No. Suppose you ate food, blood glucose level high, insulin secreted, glucose sent to different cells and converted to glycogen in the liver. Now the blood glucose level is lowered, means now it is not high. From high it became normal. So now glucagon will not be stimulated. Glucagon will be stimulated if your blood glucose level is very low. For example, you are fasting, you have not eaten food that time, right? Okay. Now there is also feedback regulation that works on positive mechanism. Okay, let's see. You know the childbirth. That works on positive feedback. When the baby pushes against the cervix, baby head comes here, it pushes against the cervix, cervix stretches, and this will send the nerve impulses to the brain. The brain will stimulate the pituitary gland to release oxytocin. Oxytocin will cause the uterus to contract, the muscles will contract there, and when they will contract further, baby head will push against the cervix further, it will stretch, and this whole cycle continues. See, so more stretching, more stimulus for to brain, more oxytocin release, more contraction, and again more pressure on the cervix, more stretching, again more oxytocin will be there. So this entire cycle will continue till the baby comes out. This is positive feedback. Now the baby comes out, baby is very hungry. So baby wants mother's milk. That also works on positive feedback. See, the baby is very hungry, baby will suck mother's nipples, and this will stimulate the nerves in the breast. These nerves will send signal to the hypothalamus, and in the hypothalamus, so the signal will go to hypothalamus. Hypothalamus will give signal to the posterior pituitary to release oxytocin. Oxytocin will work on the muscle cells of the breast, right? And muscle cells will contract to, and what will come out? Milk. The baby will drink milk. Further signal will go to the mother's hypothalamus. Further signal will go to the posterior pituitary. Further oxytocin release. Further oxytocin comes, right? Baby sucks milk. When the baby sucks milk, again the signal goes to the brain of the mother. So this cycle continues till the baby is full, satiated, and not hungry. So this was milk let down reflex. Milk let down reflex. Milk let down. It comes down. Milk let down reflex. This is also positive feedback. If I say, is it just the ejection? Is it just the ejection of milk that depends on positive feedback? No. Milk production and ejection both depends on positive feedback. See, oxytocin leads to the release of pre-stored milk. But new milk will also be formed. When baby sucks the mother's nipple, the signal goes to the hypothalamus. Then prolactin releasing hormone will stimulate the cells, and prolactin will be released, right? And prolactin will lead to the production of milk, and the baby will drink milk. Again this cycle will continue till the baby is drinking milk. Okay, one more example, blood clotting. That is also positive feedback mechanism. Suppose no, don't suppose. Actually, what happened morning when I was cutting bitter gourd, I cut my thumb a little by the knife by mistake, right? Okay, so there was an injury, and within few minutes the injury was healed. How? There is a break or tear in the blood vessel wall, and then what happens? Platelets come to action. Platelets come and adhere to the site, and they release chemicals which attract more platelets. And this cycle will continue till platelet plug is formed, clot is, and the injury is sealed. So this cycle continues till platelet plug is formed and the injury, that discontinuation in the blood vessel wall is sealed by the platelet plug. So this clotting mechanism we will study in detail later. This is also positive feedback that little platelets came, they secreted chemicals to attract more platelets, right? Okay, so in the positive feedback what happened? End product was speeding up its own production. Okay, so I hope you understood this. In the next lecture we will study the interactions within the components of an ecosystem, that is at a higher level. Today we studied the interaction between the molecules in an within an organism. Okay, here these chemicals, they were attracting more platelets, and then all these things, these interactions were within an organism, right? Now in next lecture we will study the interactions within an ecosystem. Okay, bye.